Brace yourself!
Wargroove is a retro-style turn-based strategy game that is inspired by the base gameplay formula of classics like Advance Wars, while adding more than enough of its own flavor to be a truly unique experience. In Wargroove, each player starts with a commander, a stronghold, and many structures that are capable of producing a wide assortment of different units. The game on release features 12 vastly different, equally interesting commanders, divided among 4 visually distinct factions. The objective of the game is to either defeat the enemy commander or capture their stronghold. Commanders are extremely powerful, and they each have their own unique ability called a groove. These effects are all very creative, and range from summoning a wall of destructible vines that temporarily block the opponent's path, or the simple utility of healing all of your troops within a large radius. Each groove charges at a different rate, and they charge faster whenever your commander defeats a unit in combat. This encourages a wider variety of playstyles beyond individual preference, and also for players to actively use their commanders in battle rather than hiding them in the corner. So far, I've really enjoyed the balance between using my commanders offensively while also being extra careful not to let them get surrounded. However, Wargroove also crucially has an economy system, which transforms it from a small skirmish tactics game into a full-scale military strategy game. Players earn income each turn per structure they control, and they can spend this gold on new units. Each unit has a different cost, stats, counters, critical hit conditions, and some even have unique abilities. Utilizing all of these available units is essential to victory, since they each have their own set of unique strengths and weaknesses. Units in Wargroove act as a sort of battalion, and that the more damage they take, the weaker they become as their numbers thin out. This mechanic adds a significant amount of depth to the game, as players are encouraged to get the first strike, while simultaneously weighing the risks of being lured into a trap. If, like me, you enjoy classic strategy games such as Age of Empires 2, which also strikes a great balance between economy and military, and micro and macro, then imagine Wargroove as a turn-based variant. You'll feel right at home here. This is so true to the point where the obscure Nintendo DS version of Age of Empires 2, which I also have videos for on my channel, carries many similarities to Wargroove. What sets Wargroove apart is its unique roster of units, different style of commanders, the mechanics for capturing structures, how structures can defend themselves, the reinforcement mechanic, and most interestingly, the critical hit condition system. There are many types of infantry in Wargroove, and only infantry and commanders can capture buildings by standing adjacent to them. Neutral structures have no health and can be captured in a single turn. When a building is flipped from neutral to player-owned, it gains health equal to the current health of the capturing unit. Player-owned structures regain 10% health each turn. Most enemy units can attack structures, and if its health is reduced to 0, it becomes neutral again. If the structure survives an attack, which they usually do, they will counterattack the enemy, which opens up all kinds of strategic opportunities. If you're interested in learning more about these specific mechanics, I'd be happy to make videos on every aspect of the game, so let me know in the comments below. Another unique mechanic is that units can be healed by moving adjacent to a friendly building and selecting Reinforce. This actually transfers HP from the building in order to heal your unit, leaving the building more vulnerable to attacks. It also costs a proportional fraction of the unit's gold price. Moving on to probably my personal favorite innovation is the way Wargroove handles critical hits. Instead of being random, every unit gets a guaranteed critical hit if a specific condition is met that is unique to every individual unit. For example, the spearmen will always crit if they are adjacent to a friendly spearman, including your teammates, and this encourages players to create a sort of phalanx formation. The cavalry could not be more flavorful, in that it always crits if it moves at least 6 spaces that turn before attacking, which gives players the feeling of a true cavalry charge. Archers will crit if they do not move and attack in the same turn, creating an interesting trade-off, and mages will crit if they have 3 or more defense, which can be triggered by positioning them on a forest tile, a mountain, or in a few other creative ways, like with Emmerich's Groove. Every single unit has its own critical hit condition, and combined with terrain bonuses, objectives, and securing map control, players are properly rewarded for clever positioning. The depth of strategy here is immense, and very satisfying to explore. And I think that's where Wargroove excels the most, the attention to detail. Like countless others, I have spent an untold amount of time in Advance Wars just fiddling with the complex map editor, as it provided players with so much freedom. Wargroove takes it a step further by not only providing players with a full map editor, but also a full campaign editor that allows users to make custom triggers, events, and even cutscenes. You can use the tools provided to make incredibly interesting missions, so the replay value is basically infinite. During the first day of release, I spent over 8 hours in just the map editor alone before realizing just how long it had been. And to make it even better, Wargroove supports cross-platform map sharing, multiplayer, and even co-op missions. I'm extremely excited about the possibility for community games in Wargroove, so you can expect me to stream it semi-regularly on Twitch. The campaign is also awesome as well, although it is quite difficult, so feel free to fiddle with the customizable difficulty parameters if you find yourself stuck on a mission for some time. On the single-player side, Wargroove holds up extremely well, and boasts something for each type of player preference. The game boasts an enjoyable, lengthy campaign with plenty of mission variety. In addition, we have Puzzle Mode, which puts players on a predetermined board state where they must find lethal, or in other words, complete the map in one turn. These maps offer quick gameplay and allow for players to use their units creatively. Next, we have Arcade Mode, where you pick a commander and battle through up to 5 increasingly difficult opponents with their own individual set of battles. I love the challenge that the campaign offers, and I appreciate even more that there are difficulty sliders. I believe it could benefit from having actual difficulty levels too, with a brief description, so players can have suggestions for how to use the sliders in a reasonable way. With almost all of my minor gripes or suggestions, Chucklefish seems to be completely on top of their game in an impressive way. Just the other day, Chucklefish actually posted this placeholder image of an upcoming improvement to the campaign UI, which isn't final, but this is exactly what I wanted. I do think though that some missions are generally a bit too long, since there isn't an early checkpoint, for example. One feature that I love from Advance Wars Days of Ruin is how players had the option of asking for tips from that mission's characters, who would then offer snarky dialogue with a few vague hints to help point the player in the right direction. What's great about this is that they never outright tell you the solution, or anything close. Just a tiny bit of general strategy advice for the map, so players still have to figure it out, but never feel completely lost. It also offers a few interesting interactions between characters. I think Wargroove could really benefit from this as a luxury feature, but it's certainly not necessary. The game does have a few other minor flaws here and there, mostly tiny issues with the UI, but Chucklefish has stated that they are working on each of them. It's incredibly reassuring to me that they are listening to feedback, so I'll be keeping a close eye on the patch notes. While Wargroove does impressively feature both local and online co-op, that is also cross-platform, surprisingly the game does not come with any specific co-op maps or missions as a release. You actually have to build them yourself in the map editor or download community maps. Since the scenario editor is so well done, and players can share maps cross-platform with just a simple code, this is certainly workable, and I have a catalog of them that you can try. The first issue with Fog of War is that unlike in Advance Wars Days of Ruin, the AI in Wargroove as a release clearly does not get negatively impacted by it in any significant way. As Reddit user Sunny Sunrise demonstrates, they currently play as if the map were completely visible, and sometimes can even take actions that would be illegal, such as targeting a unit that they have no vision of. Chucklefish is thankfully actively looking into this, but until that update, this bug unfortunately limits map design and can be frustrating to deal with. Despite this issue though, the AI in Wargroove is generally intelligent, thankfully adaptable to any reasonable map, and is a fun opponent. There are customizable personality parameters for user-created maps too. If possible though, I'd like to see the AI be able to use wagons, balloons, and barges, at least on a basic level. The other issue with Fog of War is that it simply conveys too much information to the opposing player for it to actually be meaningful as a mechanic. I don't like to compare Wargroove to Advance Wars and how mechanics should be handled, but it is important that we look at why some mechanics were designed the way that they were in the first place. I'm fine with hearing the noises of units in Fog of War, but I think it's problematic that we have a live gold count of the hidden player during their turn. Since almost every unit costs a different amount, and the process of elimination is very simple, I will always know exactly what unit you are creating and where and when, all because I can see the live gold count and the puff of smoke. In Advance Wars, it would simply show the hidden player's funds as a question mark to actually allow for an element of surprise. I like the movement noises being heard though, since it conveys only that you are moving a unit of that type at some location, something that a skilled player can guess around, but nothing too important. I suppose while I'm on the topic, I'm always in favor of quality of life improvements to the map editor, and I expect many improvements to be made to it over time, which I'm looking forward to. One thing that I hope is added is the option to import individual maps into campaigns, and I expect that is coming. Some nice luxuries would be being able to copy and paste a section of the map, and mirror a section of the map as well. Neither of those features are necessary as the map editor is super feature complete, but these would be great additions nonetheless. Also, I would appreciate more terrain types and biomes, even if they are functionally identical to existing terrains, just for eye candy. I think they also need to make it more clear on the menu somewhere that you can play skirmish matches with the AI, since you actually can by making a local multiplayer game, but I've seen some confusion on that. Lastly, I'd also like to see a replay system to help players improve. This last one is a big ask, but I think it would be incredibly valuable, and so I hope that Chucklefish looks into saving and sharing replays. I think it would be a great way to encourage sharing highlights and more types of player content beyond just maps. So overall, how does Wargroove stand as a game? When it was announced in 2017, Wargroove easily became one of my most anticipated titles, and I could not be happier to tell you that it actually lived up to and surpassed my sky-high expectations. I knew it was an indie game, so I rarely expect such a feature-complete and polished product, but holy cow did Chucklefish deliver. Wargroove looks great, sounds great, plays great, and has so much attention to detail that I can imagine myself playing it for hopefully years. There's plenty to do on both the single-player and multiplayer, and they are both fantastic. In addition, the custom maps add a near infinite amount of replayability. While I did gloss over it, it cannot be overstated just how excellent the soundtrack by Phonetic Hero really is, and how well drawn and animated the sprites and graphics are. Everything is just so smooth and clever in Wargroove. Even the sound design and voice acting is phenomenal. The mission design is great too. In addition to a fantastic campaign, it also has an arcade mode and a very interesting puzzle mode too. I'm just so happy with how Wargroove turned out. When I heard that Chucklefish had made the difficult decision to postpone release, that actually improved my optimism, because it gave them the necessary time that they needed to add all of these wonderful features. It gave us puzzle mode, arcade mode, a map, campaign, and cutscene editor, and tons of polish in every area. I see so much potential in Wargroove as not just a fantastic strategy game, but also as a potential cornerstone of our strategy game community. I'd be very interested in doing more Wargroove videos, streams, and playing with subscribers. The barrier to entry is so low since we can just play co-op to start, and the game is fully cross-platform on PC, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch. It's actually even moddable on PC, so that's just amazing. I'm also glad to say that the gameplay itself is familiar yet refreshing, carries a remarkable amount of strategic depth, and so far has not gotten stale in the slightest. Wargroove feels like Age of Empires 2, Heroes of Might and Magic 3, Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, and everything that I love in a strategy game, all bundled into one unique experience. There is so much to explore in Wargroove that I just can't wait to share it with everyone. And to make it even more exciting, Chucklefish has teased that they will support the game with more content in the future. The modern game development philosophy over the past decade has somewhat unfortunately shifted towards a ship it broken and maybe fix it later. So usually to escape from the mess of many AAA releases, I often turn to indie games for quality, but that usually comes at the price of polish, where there may not be level editors, co-op, so many game modes, or cross-platform support. Wargroove has them all, and it does them well. If I had to compare the quality of Wargroove to another game, off the top of my head I'd say Rivals of Aether is an equally impressive release, and that both games have amazing pixel art, soundtracks, game design, and an expansive feature list. Armello comes close as well, only falling a little short in the feature list, while still having incredible art and gameplay. I have plenty of videos on both games on my channel. And so, I give Wargroove a very large number of stars, a very high percentage, and a general assortment of accolades. This game is good! I hope Chucklefish does a great job with support in the future, but I have faith that they will. And it's also important to note that the game just stands well on its own. For just $20, you're getting a lot of value here. Like I said, I am so happy with how this game lived up to and somehow surpassed my expectations. It's such a relief, like, oh man, this game is good. If you saw my release day livestream, you could tell just how much fun I was having. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you enjoy this overview? Have you played Wargroove yet? And if so, what did you think? If you enjoyed watching this video, then feel free to subscribe for more content in a similar style, and also check out some of my S-Rank guides for Advanced Wars 2. You might know me for my tutorials, faction overviews, battle analysis, and Break the Meta series, so I can certainly see myself doing those types of videos for Wargroove 2. My channel is all about sharing the best aspects of strategy games and making them more approachable, so I think that Wargroove fits the bill. What a pleasant surprise. Kudos to Chucklefish. As always, thank you so much for the support, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.